Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time to my channel, my name is Ashley. I'm the founder of The Mom Look here on YouTube and on Instagram. Today we're going to talk about my Christmas Eve outfit, makeup, and hair. So this is what I'll be wearing. It's a fairly black outfit that has sequin pants. They're from Express. This is a Michael Kors sweater. It has a little bit like a velvet lining. And then this bodysuit is from Windsor store. I will be pairing them with these like wicked high heels, which will be off the second I get to Christmas dinner. Yeah, so it's a very dark outfit. It's pretty typical of what I'll wear around the holiday season. So we're gonna do something a little bit more fun with the makeup. So on Christmas Eve, around like 4 o'clock, my family and I go to Christmas Eve Mass. And then after that we head to my great aunt's house and we have Christmas dinner. Since I'm going to be going to church, I don't want to be wearing something that's like too over the top, too crazy bold or whatever. So we're going to go for something that's a little bit more simple. So if you're interested in finding something that has a little bit of pizzazz, there is a little twist to this makeup look, but something that's still fairly appropriate and something that you can wear around your family and not feel too uncomfortable in, stick around and keep on watching. Before we get started, I just want to remind you guys, don't be afraid to subscribe to my channel if you're interested in seeing more content from me, and give this video a thumbs up if you like it, if you want to see more like glam looks from me. And I guess let's just jump on into it. Okay, so we're gonna go for a pretty, like a medium coverage skin look. I want my skin to look very fresh and natural, but also like super glowy. So we're gonna start off by priming the face. I'm gonna be using the Becca Backlight Priming Filter. This is my favorite primer, and I'm very low on it, so I save it for very special occasions only, which is obviously today. I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel for this. This primer is just so moisturizing, and it also applies such like a nice glow to the skin. So I'm just going to rub that in with my fingies. My skin has gotten so much better since my last video. I went on a trip up to New Hampshire to visit my dad so we did like Christmas before Christmas up there. And I think it's something to do with their water. They have well water, whereas we get like our water from the town down in Connecticut. I don't know what it was. My skin has gotten so much better. I still have like a dry patch right here, you can probably see, but it just feels so much better. It was hurting to put anything on my face, so thank God for that. I'm going to be using the Lancome Tient Idole Ultra 24-hour makeup, blah blah blah. This has been in my collection for a while now. I really enjoy it. I always forget about it and then I come back to it. I'm just going to be taking about 2 pumps on the back of my hand and kind of dabbing that all over my face. I bought this makeup during the fall, and I feel like there's such a short time frame where like my skin is actually the color that it is, but it's good for mixing. I'm on the verge of becoming very, very pale very, very soon. Okay, and I'm going to take my Silk Finish 102 brush from Zoeva and just buff that in. This is my go-to brush, what I use pretty much every day for my makeup. I don't mind using a beauty blender or a makeup sponge, but I just feel like it takes so much longer to get everything buffed out that this is just really the way to go for busy people like myself. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with my Born This Way concealer and highlight and cover up some spots. The first time I bought this concealer, it lasted me like 6 months, which is like long, especially if you're using concealer every day. And then I got this maybe like a month or 2 ago and it's like almost already gone. Just shows you how much more I'm doing makeup and how much more I'm applying when I'm actually doing makeup. Now I'm gonna buff that in with my Real Techniques little nugget. Okay, and I'm gonna go in right now and set underneath my eyes. I'm gonna be using the Patrickstarrr setting powder. And I'm actually just gonna pick it up on this beauty blender. Okay, I've just been having really bad creasing underneath my eyes lately, so to help prevent that, I've been going in and setting that, and I'll go back and set the rest of my face after, but I first want to do a little bit of cream contouring. I'm going to be using the Hoola Quickie Contour Stick by Benefit. Having it in a stick just makes it so much easier. And then I'm going to take a bigger Real Technique sponge and blend it out. I find that doing a cream contour and then putting a powder contour over it just makes everything look so much more like natural, which is weird because you're putting on so much more product. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my little Seraphine Botanicals. Sorry if I'm totally butchering how you pronounce that, guys. Guava butter. It's honestly so like rubbed off. It's this lip and cheek stain. I'm just going to take that on the flat side of this beauty blender, dab that on the top, and kind of bounce that where I want to touch more color. I feel like if there's any time to go really ham with blush, it's like around the holiday season. It makes you look so much more like youthful and glowy. I think it's really important to put little touches of blush, especially when you're like as fair as I am, elsewhere around the face, because you wouldn't, I mean, you don't want to mimic like yourself totally blushing and like being scarlet red, but you wouldn't just get color on your cheeks. So it just makes it a little bit more natural looking, I think, when you put it all over. Now I'm going to go in with my Stila Heavenly Hues highlighter in Kitten. This is like a putty, so you can use it over a already set face, but I tend not to, and I find that it best applies when you're using a concealer brush. So I'm going to go in my concealer buffer brush. It's the 142 from Zoeva. Just kind of swirl that around in the pan and then apply that to the high points of my cheeks. This is just by far the most blinding highlight I own. So when you're applying a highlight like this, or any highlight, you want to apply first where you want the most product, so that's the highest point of your cheek. And then when you've kind of got that rubbed in, you want to lightly, in circular motions, just kind of buff it out. I wouldn't call it a pet peeve, but I'm always like, oh honey, no. When you just see a girl that's got like this, like just kind of looks like she just kind of took the brush and was like, you always just want to go up and be like, I got you, I'll blend you, babe, I got you. I could just keep applying highlight for days. I'll stop though. Okay, so we're going to now go in with Patrickstarrr setting powder again and kind of set the rest of the face. I'm going to be using a bigger fluffy brush, like a really fluffy brush. This one's from Ulta. It's just the Ulta Beauty powder brush. And just kind of set where I don't plan on putting like contour, blush, or another layer of highlight. Focusing a lot on the smile lines. I really love the finish of this setting powder. It didn't take away from the glowiness that I've added to my skin. It's only setting everything. It's doing its job. Now I'm gonna go in with my Smashbox contour palette, and I'm gonna go into the actual contour shade. I'm gonna be using my Ulta contour bronzer brush. Take this down the sides of my nose. When I contour my nose, I have like a ballpoint nose, so I make sure to really put the majority of my product down towards the end of my nose, and then I'll like feather it up a little bit. But this is, I think I have a pretty good nose. I don't ever really want to change anything. Contouring is important though. Even if you have like a perfect nose, you want to just add a little bit of depth to the nose because it can kind of get lost if you're only putting foundation or only putting foundation and concealer on top of your nose. And then I do right underneath my lip just to make it look a little pouty. And then on my forehead. Okay, and then with the same brush I'm just going to go into the bronzer shade from this palette and kind of warm up, create that little gradient from the contour color to where I'm going to put my blush. Again, on the sides of the nose. I have a little bit, if you see my nose is like button as I was saying, so naturally the sun sets or hits like that tip of the nose. So to make it a little bit more natural looking, I kind of add just bronzer, never contour, just to the tip of that nose area. And then I hit the top of my forehead, another place where the sun would naturally hit if my face ever saw the sun. And then my chin. And that's pretty much it. So now we're going to go in with my blush. This is the Lancome Blush Subtle Shimmer Mocha Havana. Been watching my videos, you know this is pretty much the only blush that I want to be using. Since we already put the blush on before, you don't really have to go too crazy with that. Now I'm going to go into my Natasha Denona Glow, and I'll be using the Guava 105 Luxe Highlight brush. Sort of setting. Basically, like we went in with the cream stuff, and then you just go back and kind of set with all the same products, but in powder form. This really makes your makeup last like all day. Okay, and then I add a little bit of highlight right here, my inner corner, but more so like on the side of my nose, because when you turn your face, you see that little highlight right there. And so now once I'm done setting everything, I go in with my setting spray now before I do anything else. So I'm going to be using the NYX Dewy Finish setting spray, and I just... That might have seemed like a lot, but I've been using more. You don't want to go too crazy with setting spray because it can actually like break up everything you've done so far. And so this just presses everything into the face, makes it all look a little bit more like toned back, a little bit more natural looking, and now everything's gonna stay forever like you want it to. So now I'm gonna do my brows really quick. You guys don't need to stick around for this. And we're back. So I set those up with my Anastasia Clear Brow Gel, and then I set my eyes with this little Too Faced 24-hour Shadow Insurance, which I'm really liking lately. And now I guess it's time to do the eyes. I'm going to be using the Tartelette palette. It's got a nice range of cool tone neutral colors. Since my outfit is a little bit more, it's like silver and black, I kind of associate those colors as cooler tones. So we're going to first go into Free Spirit and swoop that all over the eyes. I'm using the Guava 221 Soft Crease brush. I usually don't do this step anymore. I find that going straight on top of the primer with my shadows gives me a little bit more like pigmentation, but we're going for a much more soft eyeshadow look today, so that's why I'm doing that. It'll help kind of keep the pigmentation on the more natural side, neutral side. So then we're going to dip into Force of Nature and blend that right into the crease. I'm using the same brush. This can be kind of sloppy. So that just added like the slightest bit of definition to my crease. Now I'm going to go in to Dreamer with my Petite Crease, which is the 231. This is like my favorite brush for doing eyeshadow looks. It's a little worn out. Okay, and then I'm just going to go into Multitasker with the same brush and just kind of lightly place that in places where I think I need a little bit more. This palette was really kind of what started it all for me. I honestly was never really into makeup before having my son. And then when I gained all of the pregnancy weight, I went into Macy's one day and they had opened this Impulse. You guys have probably seen it if you've gone into Macy's recently. It's like basically it has like the same stuff as Sephora, which I was super excited about because my mall didn't have a Sephora, and so you couldn't really play with or get any of the stuff, and at the point I was like not about buying things online really. So I went in there and I was talking to one of the makeup artists and she was like, oh, you should try this like this Smashbox contour kit, which I still have. And I fell in love with it, and I had like, I knew makeup, like of my friends I was probably still like one of the better people at doing makeup. But I wasn't like, I would buy like Sephora brand makeup because it was the cheapest. I would just buy whatever was like the cheapest whenever I would go to any makeup store. And so that was like my first like graduate level, like my first introduction to like higher end makeup. And I honestly, since then, I would just kind of experiment. Like I'd never really heard of Smashbox. I'd never really heard of Tarte. My mom has never really been into makeup, and so I just had no form of introduction for myself. So I, from there, just went on and like taught myself how to do all this different stuff. I forget where I was going with that. Oh, and then for once I had been playing with it more and more, my mom asked me to do her makeup for her wedding, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, like I only have this one little palette, and it's like I had gotten it for free when I bought that Smashbox thing. It was like a little trio that had like a champagne, a pinky, and like a dark deepening color, and so it was like two metallics and a matte. And I had been watching more videos. I really gotten into Samantha's stuff, and she was always talking about mattes, and I was like, oh, well, like I don't own any mattes. I only have this one really dark matte, and so I'm just going in with a fashionista. So I went to Ulta and I looked around, and this was the only palette that I could find that had all mattes. And so I was like, ooh, I gotta get it. I gotta get it. Like mattes are the thing. Like you have to have a matte. And yeah, so this is what I used on my mom, my sister, and I for her wedding day. And as I was there, like looking around for palettes, I was so fascinated by how many like bright color palettes there were. And at the time I would never wear anything that wasn't like purple was the extent of my craziness with makeup. But I was so fascinated. I was like, I guess you really can do like crazy artwork almost on your eye, especially when you have the right products. So I went and back almost like the next week, and I bought the Urban Decay Electric palette and I think the Spectrum palette, and I just went crazy. But yeah, this palette kind of started it all out for me. It's gotten a lot of love. My sister basically won't let me use anything but this palette whenever she lets me do her makeup. Yeah, I mean the shadows are good. I definitely have palettes that I prefer, but yeah, that's my little story of how I got into makeup. Alright, now I'm going to do my lower lash line, going back in with Force of Nature on my Zoeva Petite crease. I guess where I was going with that story is that if you're looking for like a palette to really get you into, or like a staple palette, I would definitely recommend one of these little Tarte palettes. They aren't overly expensive, maybe like $45, $46. And you're getting 12 shadows. The Toasted palette is one that I really want, but also the Tarte in Bloom. It gives you a couple more shimmer shades. Now that I've played with makeup more, I understand that you do want a palette that has a mixture of shimmers and mattes, but this was a good little palette to get me started and build up a little collection. And yeah, that's my spiel. And then same brush, dipping into Dreamer again, running that tighter to the lower lash line, and then again a little bit more further out. Then I'm going to mix Multitasker and Fashionista together and run that really closely to the lash line, but only taking it kind of like halfway, maybe 2/3 of the way across. I would say my biggest advice to anyone that's kind of just getting into makeup, not like makeup artists, I feel like I have no jurisdiction giving advice to makeup artists, but if you're really getting into makeup and you are interested in getting, like, taking your skills up a notch, rather than investing in a ton of different shadows or whatever, really invest in a good set of brushes. That changes absolutely everything with your game, I would say. I love my set from Zoeva. I got it for Christmas last year and it's really helped me. Before that I was using these like eco tools that have like two heads, two sides of them, which they're good brushes, they're just not, they don't have enough variety of like the shapes and sizes. And then I ended up buying some from Morphe, and those are also very good brushes. Okay, so now we're going to go in with my Kat Von D tattoo liner in Trooper, and I'm just going to create a wing. This doesn't have to be the cleanest thing because we're going to go in with two other liners. Kat Von D's liner is like really good for outlining everything, but like filling it in is so annoying, especially with my eyes. I have like very like kind of hooded but also like very just wrinkly eye creases, so to really fill in that line is so annoying. Okay, to fill that in I'm gonna go in with a different liner because it really like keeps drying out on me. I'm going to take the NYX Studio Liquid Liner and just fill that in. You want to be careful though with this liner, it takes a little bit longer to dry, so you don't want to like blink. It's best to just kind of stay looking down for a little bit till it dries. Okay, now I'm going to use the Anastasia liquid lipstick in American Doll. And I'm gonna go in with my LH Cosmetic, or I guess it's Linda Hallberg Cosmetics now, her 300 brush, and I'm gonna just take from the end of the little doe foot, and I'm gonna basically like line the liner. Again, you want to give this a little bit more time to dry. Alright, for this last part I'm gonna bring you guys in a little bit closer. See what we got going on so far. So I'm going to take this Urban Decay Heavy Metal glitter liner and kind of create another one of these. Alright, and then this takes a particularly long time to dry, so be very careful. I'm going to do the other eye. And this is the finished eye look with mascara and lashes. As we can see, I got glitter everywhere, but whatever. It's okay. I'm fine with it. So now I'm going to take my Urban Decay Glide On 24/7 Glide On Lip Pencil in Naked 2 and line my lips. Kind of smudge that out. And then I'm going to take my Buxom lip cream in White Russian. I love it. It smells like Lucky Charms. Alright guys, this is the finished face look. Alright, so now we just gotta do my hair. So I just curled my hair with a wand, and then I ended up having to put Thomas down to bed, so this is why I could finish the rest of this video with a voiceover. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this look. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up for me and to subscribe. And I hope you guys all have a very Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.